Hello everybody, this is Diane, and this is Sunny Sam. He is out riding his kangaroo pig, looking for his new home. So maybe he'll be riding that pig right to your house. This will be in my shop when you see this video, unless somebody beat you to it. So I'm just going to do a flip through of it, and we'll take a look and see what is inside this book. It is an old children's book. So the cover is worn, but in pretty decent shape. And it's pretty big. It's about 6 3/4 by 9 1/4. And the spine is 2 inches. I used a pretty fabric on the spine, and these ribbons are just decorative. They're not holding anything in. I just tied them in between the signatures just to add a decorative touch to the outside. I have a hitch fastener here and a hair tie. Can you see that hair tie? It's got stripes on it. I thought that was cute. And the back of it has some spots, because it's an old book. I just want you to be aware. But it's a pretty deep, deep blue color, and it's got a really pretty blue gimp. I used the colors from the book cover, which are blue, orange, green, and yellow throughout the book. So it's a brightly colored book, and I had so much fun. What I did was I went through my stash of ready-made ephemera and also ephemera pieces and ephemera pieces and journal cards and things like that, and I just looked for the colors that I wanted, and then I just put everything in the book, and it was really fun to do. I left the end paper as it was, and there's some gold gimp on the inside. This was on the flyleaf. This book belongs to, he's an odd looking character, but he is a character from the book, and he's quite big. So I put him on the front page, and this is wallpaper. There are 3 signatures, and each signature is wrapped with a piece of wallpaper from Jeannie. Thank you, Jeannie. And I used this pleated twill trim on the front of each signature also, so there's green and yellow of that. This is one of the pieces that I had it's a digital fruit crate label, and I just backed it with cardstock to make a sturdy pocket. So I had several of these. You'll see them in the book. And this is a tag that I made for this journal. I had the backing. I had these pieces already cut in tag shape, and I just had to find pieces to go with it. So I used a little Tim Holtz girl and just collaged a bunch of things on there, and you can put a picture or put a piece of paper on there that you can write on the back. I used this illustration from the book and backed it with cardstock and put it on as a pocket. So it's a nice big pocket. And this is from the front of the book also. It has the title page, Sunny Sam, Something for Oldsters to Read to Youngsters by Frank Farrington, illustrated by E.R. and V.H. Kirkbride. And on the back, I put the copyright, 1921. Well, actually, it's the same sheet. You can see him right through there. But to reinforce these fragile edges, I just put some scrapbook paper. And I made a fabric tab. This came out of a magazine. I just used some of my word snippets from my little word snippet book. So that just came out of a magazine. It's top secret, so you could write something top secret on there, on that paper. But then you might not want to write something top secret, because if somebody sees that, they're going to want to know what was so top secret. I used some of my fun and quirky stamps. She says, sing your heart songs. I dyed some copy paper, some printer paper, with food coloring. So this is one of the blue sheets, and there's a little word snippet up there. It just says notes. This is from a guest book where people would sign their names for a wedding. And I have a tab here. There's another word snippet that came from a children's book. It says that made Sue happy. And this is from a sketchbook that has really nice paper. There's a piece of scrapbook paper. And this is light enough you could write up here, so I didn't add anything there for you to write on. But I made a fun fabric flip. And I actually used this bit with the purple on it because there's purple on this paper. Otherwise, I pretty much stuck to the blue, green, yellow, and orange. Here we have a little bit of a green dyed doily. It's very pale. And this is a triangle shaped stamp, but it's digital. And that came from Eclectic Eggplant on Etsy. And that's just a die cut flower. Here's another dyed paper that I dyed with food coloring in orange. And I stamped my funky flowers. This is a embossed doily. This is some letters from an anagram game. I just spelled out fun because the colors matched what I'm doing here. And this is a children's piano book page, and it's got a stamp where the teacher stamped something for them and then made notes. Here's another illustration from the book. So each signature has 2 of these large illustrations that I made into pockets. And I love the fact that this says they're dressed in wallpaper capes of beautiful patterns. And we love wallpaper, don't we? So I thought it was really fun that they are wearing wallpaper capes and hats. And there's a journaling card for you. I left the backs of these blank so you could add some paper or collage on it or add a photo, whatever you want to do to it. And in the center of each signature, I just did some stenciling. I used these journaling cards from TLC Creates Vintage. They're called Thoughts. And I forgot, I've had them for a long time. I've never printed them. But I found them in my digital folders in my computer. So I printed them, and so I used all of the ones, I think there's 8 or 9 of them, and I used them all in this book. And then I also used my clusters that I had punched. They're either punched or die cut. And I just pulled out the pieces that matched the colors of this book and made clusters to decorate with. And on this flap, there's this little tag that actually opens up so you can write on it, and then it has a slot to close it. And I just decorated it with some washi tape. This has been in my ephemera folder. It's just a teddy bear and little bears riding him, and I printed him on cardstock so he makes a nice sturdy pocket. I tucked in this sheet that was from a tablet I've had for a long time. It has all these different fun things on it. This says, yesterday I was supposed to do blank and blank, but hey, carpe diem. And then this one is just a little to-do card. It's lots of space for writing, and the pages are nice and big. This is a vintage page from a Root Drivers book selling milk and cream and butter and cheese. I just glued that on there for writing and added some washi tape. This is a printable. Well, it's actually, I always have a hard time explaining these. I bought this old book, children's activity book, and it was on very fragile paper. So I didn't actually make a digital, I just made copies. So that's what this is, and I backed it with cardstock to make it sturdy and made it into a belly band. And I just folded up this large journaling card and put it in there, and I added this paper clip just to make it secure. Here was just a little scrap of scrapbook paper, and I added a ticket that's stapled on there. I stapled that to the edge of the page and tucked this in. The scrapbook papers that I used in this book are from a paper pad that had these cutouts So I included a bunch of those in here too. And this is just a little sticky note that opens up so you can write on it, which I thought was really fun. And when I used these, I backed them with scraps of scrapbook paper. And here's a pocket that I made. It's stamped. Somebody sent me this stamped card, and I just added these embellishments. And there's another of the stapled clusters. And a tag that I embellished. These little fellows are ephemera pieces in my shop. I think it's called Antique Ephemera or Victorian Ephemera. And there's another of the journal cards. And the wallpaper with another journaling prompt. It says favorite quotes. And this is where I tied the blue seam binding. So here's signature 2. Favorite foods. Another of the fruit crate labels. And another tag. And another image from the book. This one had a little image of a character that was probably offensive, so I covered it with another cluster. This says direction, and this says this way, that way. And the word up there is excellent. Now my little heart goes a-beating like a drum, from a children's book. There's a cute fabric flip with this little girl jumping rope. And again, you can write on that page. I colored this doily type of thing. It's shiny, but I colored it with alcohol inks, and then I cut this out with from a vintage gift wrap. There's a green dyed paper and an orange dyed doily. This one has an orange shaped playing card, which is really fun. This is the character that is on the book plate in the front. If I could, I would. And this tag was in my stash. It's colored with Distress Oxides. And there's some more anagram words. Spells out joy. This is another copy that I made from that children's activity book. This is actually a pattern for a bookends that you were supposed to enlarge the pattern and cut it from wood, and it had instructions for constructing it. And this is another sheet. It says, today I will blank and blank. Yes, I am awesome. And another to-do card. Here is a page from the back of an appointment book or agenda book. It's vintage, but this was in the back where you could write anniversaries and birthdays. Just a pocket that I made with some scraps. And this is an image from a children's book. I put that in here because it matches the colors. It's actually a digital that I made with that children's book. And just this little orange tag. Another sticky note that you can open up and write on. I think I made this on the video. It's scraps of paper glued to cardstock, and then I cut it out with a die to cut that shape, and I added that strip and this little embellishment. This is just a cut-off piece from the scrapbook paper, and a cute little tag. And my dreams and remember for journaling prompts. This one has some kind of a card to keep records, debit, credit, balance, account number in green. and a tag that I made. And there they are riding their kangaroo pigs. And I put on this quote, "Your vibe attracts your tribe." And there's a quirky little girl. She says, "Be yourself." And this says, "Love loudly." And from a children's book, "Oh, this is fun," said Martha. I was having fun making this book. There's another fabric flip with a little bit of blue edged crochet here, this fun flower. And I put a card here because this page would have been more difficult to write on. "Obsession of the Moment." This is actually a Victorian piece. That's not a copy. I used the real thing on that. And this is a copy, the back of a advertising card. It was advertising Lion Coffee, but I liked the blue. It went with the colors I was using. It's blank on the back, so you can write on it. And a tag. This one has a piece of a orange dyed doily, one of those triangle digital stamps, and another little yarn doll cut from the gift wrap. What I've learned. This is a playing card, just an elongated one. And another bookend. You can see it's got little dotted lines here to show you where to put in the screws. And there's even a little screw poking up there. I've always wanted to blank. Why not today? And here's the cover of that little children's book that I had an image from earlier. And this is just from an old ledger. This makes me happy. And a little sticky note to write on. This was in my stash of ready-made ephemera. Just a slanted pocket made from a scrap of patterned cardstock that I had collaged on. And I tucked this tag in and this journaling card. And the back of the book says wish list. On the back, I made a wallpaper pocket and tucked in a digital advertising card and this printable card. I didn't put my signature on here yet, but it'll be on the back of one of those cards. So what do you think of Sunny Sam? I think it was a really fun book to make. I think I said in the other video that I did that the key word for this book is fun. And you could add colorful and funky too, I think. Quirky. I guess that's better. Fun and colorful and quirky. I hope you like it. And if you do, you can follow the link below to my shop and see if it's still there. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day today. Bye-bye.